Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be another TBR video. These are my favorite videos to film. I don't know, I love picking new books off of my cart, and I feel like using these prompts makes me more excited for some of the books that I don't necessarily think about. And yeah, it's early in the month right now. It is only June 18th, but I'm going to be visiting family for the next week. So today's Wednesday. I fly out Saturday and don't come back till the next Saturday. So by that point it'll be like the very end of the month. I think I fly back on like the 27th or 28th. So I won't have my TBR cart with me, and I wanted to kind of pre-film a few things that I can edit when I'm visiting family, but just wanted to kind of get some stuff ready ahead of time and have this able to still be posted right before June starts. But we are working with a pretty full cart. I pulled some more stuff off of my bookshelves of books that I haven't read yet, and I don't know, I am proud of myself because using this cart I have bought fewer like new books recently. I've only bought new releases. I haven't really picked up a ton of just like books that I want to read, because I feel like looking at this cart I'm able to look at all the books that I haven't read, and like I said, these prompts definitely motivate me to pick up some of these other books that I haven't thought about as much. But like usual, we are going to be picking 8 books off of my cart. Like I said, it's early in the month, but I have read 3 books already this month, like 2.5 books. One of them I started at the end of May and finished it in June, but I started reading it after I filmed my June TBR, so it was on my June TBR. But I'm currently reading The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I've already read Part of Your World, The Coworker, and it was on my May TBR, not my June TBR, but I read 2 Twisted Crowns, so I finished that series as well. And like I said, it's still early in the month, so I think I'll probably be able to read The Unhoneymooners and one more book this month. And I'm torn between which 2 I'm going to read. It's either going to be The Poppy War or The Inmate by Frida McFadden. But we are also running low on our TBR prompts, so once I finish pulling these, I'll probably put the old prompts all back in the jar. So it'll be kind of like 6 months with the jar, because I didn't do it in January. We're going to start with prompt number 1. I guess first let me talk about some of the books that I really would love to get to on my TBR cart. So on here I would love to read, I don't know, after reading 2 Twisted Crowns I was loving the gothic fantasy, so I wouldn't mind reading Phantasma, or I feel like Nightweaver is kind of giving me gothic fantasy a little bit as well. And then I also wouldn't mind a couple of like rom-coms on here, so I'm thinking either like The Match, or if I love The Unhoneymooners, I may want to read Love in Other Words. I'm kind of feeling like I wouldn't mind starting the Off-Campus series, but that's not a for sure. And yeah, I want to hold off on Caraval. I really want to read The Poppy War still this month. I don't know, I'm not feeling in a super like mystery mood, but I do want to get to The Inmate pretty soon. So I feel like those are kind of my starting thoughts here. So prompt number 1 is going to be black on the cover. So we have lots of choices for this one. I'm going to not pull The Inmate because like I said, I plan on reading that one already this month. With this one, because there's so many books that have a majority black on the cover, I would like to pick one that sometimes I have to kind of stretch this rule and pick books that have just a tiny bit on the cover. Alright, so I have 6 books from my cart that are mostly black on the covers. Most of them are fantasy books. So I have Red Rising, Beasts of Prey, Caraval, Light Lark, All In, which is the only mystery one, and then Phantasma. So of these, I feel like there's 2 that I'm definitely leaning towards, and those are Phantasma and Light Lark. I feel like both of them sound pretty good to me after reading the Shepherd King duology. and also after reading, like, that's what makes Phantasma sound good. And Lightlark sounds good because I recently read the rest of the Powerless trilogy, and I feel like Lightlark will give a lot of similar vibes of like YA, some of it's been done before kind of thing. I think I might sit and think on these for a second, because I know Phantasma has a second book out, but does it have more in the series? So it looks like Lightlark is just a trilogy with all 3 books out. She's coming out with like a different book that is like a different point of view of it, but like it sounds like the storyline is finished for this. But Phantasma, I thought it was only a duology, but there's a 3rd book coming out in December. So I think I might hold off on Phantasma. I think this would be a perfect like fall read. So I think I might hold off. And because I just read the 2nd book in the Shepherd King duology, it might be good to space out like the gothic fantasies anyway, with Lightlark for black on the cover. Alright, of course they are mowing my neighbor's lawn, so if you guys can hear that in the background, I apologize, but hopefully it's not too disruptive. Prompt number 2 is going to be a book I'm scared to read. I feel like I have a couple good options for this one as well. I'm trying to think of ones I'm actually going to potentially want to read in July. Alright, I have 4 books pulled here for a couple of different reasons. So the first one I have is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I've read one Kristen Hanna book before, and it definitely is a very emotional read. So I feel like, I don't know if that's what I'm in the mood for, but they're always such good reads at the same time. Like, I loved The Nightingale, but it definitely made me feel a lot of things. So I feel like I'm scared but excited to read more books of hers, because I just don't know how I'm gonna like be in the mood for them. I pulled The Deal, which is the first book in the Off-Campus series. I hate this cover. I wish I had the new cover of it. Eventually I may get that, but I don't read a ton of romance series. The only romance series I've really read was the One in Rome series. Like, I've read a few of Sarah Adams because they're very short, and I've started the Chestnut Springs series and never finished it. I'm still working my way through it, and I've never really read too much for sports romance, but I hear so many people love this series, so I'm scared to get into it. And so it's been on my bookshelf for almost a year now, because I really want to read it, but I am scared to read it. Same with Love in Other Words. I know so many people, this is like their favorite book of all time, and because it's so hyped up, I am scared of it because I don't know what I'm gonna think of it. But with that being said, if I like The Honeymooners, I may really like this. And then I have on here Every Summer After as well. I've read this book and I didn't love it, and then I think I read half of her second book and still didn't love that one either. But I've heard so many people say that her 3rd and 4th books that she's released are so good that it makes me want to read them, and it makes me want to reread this one because I believe her books are like kind of connected but kind of not. So I kind of want to just like restart her books. I feel like I'm gonna go with Love in Other Words because I have read In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, and I enjoyed that one. It was one of the best like romance holiday books that I've read, and I've read a couple of short stories by Christina Lauren, and I really liked those as well. So I kind of know I like their writing, and I feel like this is a book that I have to read in summer, so I think this is the perfect month to pick it. And I don't know, I'm not very far into The Honeymooners. I'm like 60 pages in, but I'm enjoying it so far, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one. Alright, prompt number 3. Second Chance Romance. I have to do some digging to see if any of these are second chance romance, because I think Love in Other Words might be, but I don't know if any of these other ones are. Alright, so Love in Other Words is a second chance romance, and I think the only other second chance romance that I have on here is every summer after. So I'm gonna put this one on here, but realistically I know I'm probably only gonna read one of these two books because I think they are similar, because that's why I'm so scared of Love in Other Words, is because I've already read this one and I didn't love it. I feel like a lot of people were comparing this book to Love in Other Words, and so it makes me scared for that one. But this one is also going to go on the TBR. So prompt number 4, title starting with the. Alright, so not including The Poppy War and The Inmate because, like I said, I'm already going to read one of those. I have a ton of books with the on them. Right, so I have 9 books with the in the title. I have The Writing Retreat, The Match, The Selection, The Deal, The Gracier, The Cruel Prince, The Curse of Saints, The Prison Healer, and The Bridge Kingdom. So a ton of options here. I think I would like to pick, or I'm going to put all of these back, and I might pick The Tenant by Frida McFadden, her new release, because I like to try to, recently I've been trying to read like one mystery book a month because they're just so fast paced and they're perfect between like fantasy books and stuff. They're just like a great palate cleanser. And I know that that one is on Kindle Unlimited, which is nice for like if I travel. We're gonna do a couple of like beach days, so it might be nice to have a book available on Kindle Unlimited and also have it be a Frida McFadden book. And then I could also, if I don't read The Inmate this month, I could also pick up this one in July as well. So I might pick 2 for this. I'm going to pick The Tenant, and then I'm also going to pick one from my pile of books here so that I can have like a physical book on there. I might go with The Gracier. I feel like this one sounds kind of interesting right now. It's like a dystopian book, so it's different enough from like a fantasy book. So if I end up reading The Poppy War, I could also put the second book in the Poppy War trilogy in here. So we're gonna pick like 3 books for this one and just go with whichever one we feel like it. So I changed my mind again and remembered that I really want to read The Poppy War, and I really think I am going to pick this one up next. It's what I'm kind of in the mood for. So I'm still going to pick 2 books, but I'm going to pick The Tenant as like a potential, and then I'm going to pick The Dragon Republic because this is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy, and I've already kind of like planned in my head that I want to read this trilogy fairly close together. So I feel like this will be a good option on here. I just didn't have it on my cart because I don't like to put like multiple books of the series on the cart because I can only read one of them. For prompt number 5, I got Boyfriend Chooses. So I did warn my boyfriend that I had this prompt in here and that it might get pulled at some point, but he doesn't want to be on camera, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him look at the books on my cart and then have him pick a few books, like 2 or 3 books, and then I will pick one of those because he doesn't love to know all the details about everything. I tell him about the books as I read them, but I'll let him pick a couple of books and then I will pick one of those. So we'll come back to that one at the end, and I will ask him, because he's working from home, I will ask him on his lunch break what he wants to pick from here. So prompt number 6. Enemies to Lovers. I feel like the one that's standing out to me that I actually wouldn't mind reading somewhat soon, and I think it's Enemies to Lovers, is The Cruel Prince. This is, I know, this and The Selection are 2 like super popular like fantasy, dystopian, they're just very popular series, and I haven't read either of them. And I don't know, I feel like this one is just feeling like I'm interested in it right now. So I think I'm going to put The Cruel Prince on there. Prompt number 7. a one-word title. For this, I think I'm going to not count, like, if it is a something or the something, potentially. Like, if that's the other word, then I think I'll let it slide. But, because I think I guess there's a few one-word titles. I have Nightweaver, Phantasma, Caraval, Scythe, Guild, Flamecaster. I think I might go with the match. It is 2 words, but like I said, the other word is the. I already have 3 fantasies on my TBR, and realistically I'm not going to get through probably even 3 of them. Like, I will probably read 2 of them. So it doesn't make sense to put another one on there. And I don't know, I just am not feeling Scythe right now. Or Flamecast or Guild. Like, those are series that I don't necessarily want to start that many series. I want to try to get through some other series first. And same thing with the deal. I don't necessarily want to start a series. Caraval and Phantasma, I'm waiting for the fall. And Nightweaver is the same thing. I don't necessarily want a fantasy on there. So I'm going to go with the match, and the is like barely a word. Because when you're organizing things, they usually skip the word the or a. And I feel like I don't have a ton of romance on there. I have 2 romances that are fairly similar, so it'd be nice to have a romance that's a little bit different. So we're going to go with this one. So the final prompt is going to be purple on the cover. I feel like I can't tell if Funny Story is kind of like between purple and blue. The only books with purple on the cover that I feel like I'm even somewhat interested in reading are Nightweaver and Funny Story. And I don't know which one I'm thinking more. I think I might go with Funny Story. I know I've had like an Emily Henry book on my TBR like every month for the last few months and haven't read them, but I like having them on there because I never know what kind of romance I'm going to be in the mood for. So I've been kind of going back and forth between Funny Story and Book Lovers on which one is on my TBR for the month. But eventually I will read one of them. I'm just trying to find like the perfect time. And it's definitely going to be at summer here. So I think I may read it this month actually. Depending on kind of what's going on, I think it'd be a good summer read. So I am going to pause for a little bit and I will come back and update you guys on what my boyfriend picks. Oh, the other thing that I thought would be fun is I'm going to go through the last couple of prompts that did not get picked from my mug, just as a fun thing, because there's only 5 of them that didn't get picked. So we have a place in the title, pink on the cover, Instagram followers choose, an even number of pages, and a new release. Those are the ones that did not get picked. And yeah, after I am done filming this and wrapping this up, I'm going to put all the prompts back in here so we can start with a completely full mug for our next TBR. Alright, so it is a little bit later now, and I talked to my boyfriend and he picked 3 books off of my cart. One of which I feel like, I'm not surprised because it's a very cool looking book, but the other 2 I was very surprised that he picked them. So he picked up The Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross, which I've had on my TBR for a while. It was one that I just randomly picked up that I thought sounded good when I went book shopping. And Rebecca Ross is the author of the Divine Rivals duology, which I haven't read. But I don't know, I'd never hear anything about this series. And I actually don't know if it's even a series. It might just be just like the singular book. So I thought that one was kind of an interesting one for him to pick. he picked All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I was also a little surprised he picked this one, but I have read the first 2 books, and so I think he may have recognized the appearance of it a little bit. And he also picked A Deadly Education, which is such a stunning cover that I'm not super surprised that he picked it. But I'm not sure if it's what I am in the mood for now. I feel like this would be a really good, like, fall book. But it has been on my TBR for years. I bought this before I moved to North Carolina, so 4 years ago. It was right before we moved. But definitely one that I kind of forgot about and had recently pulled from my shelf to put onto my cart. But I think I would rather wait until fall for this one. So I know I already have a ton of fantasy on here, but I'm kind of intrigued by The Sisters of Song and Sword just because I haven't read anything by Rebecca Ross. And I don't know, I think I'm in a little bit of a fantasy mood now. And I have a few romances on here. And I don't really have much for mystery on here, but I do have my Freida McFadden fallback for the 1 prompt. Alright, so to recap our 9 books, or 8 prompts for My Boyfriend Picks, we have The Sister of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. For purple on the cover, it's kind of blue, kind of purple, but we have Funny Story. For a 1-word title, I didn't have a lot of options, so I cut out the word the, and we have The Match. For enemies to lovers, we have The Cruel Prince. For starting with the word the, we have 2 options. We have The Tenant by Freida McFadden on my Kindle, and we have The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang as a physical copy if I do end up reading The Poppy War. For a second chance romance, we have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This would be a reread so that I can read more of her books. For a book I'm scared to read, we have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This one has been on my TBR for probably close to 3 years at this point. And then for a book with black on the cover, we have Light Lark by Alex Astor. So again, like usual, I'm not going to read all 8 of these books. I hope to get through like 3 or 4 of them though, and I just like having these options. It kind of narrows down all the books that I haven't read on my shelves and kind of gives me fewer to pick from and makes it a little bit less overwhelming when I do want to pick a new book. So I think if I were to pick what books I think I will read off this TBR, if I were to pick like my top 4 that I think I will get to, I think realistically it would probably be The Match by Sarah Adams because it's a nice short one. The Dragon Republic if I do end up reading The Poppy War next. If I could also see myself reading The Tenant, and then I could see myself reading Love and Other Words as well if I like The Unhoneymooners. And then I don't know, I could potentially see myself reading Light Lark, but I feel like that one is lower on the list compared to these other ones. But those are the 8 books that are going to be on my July TBR, and I'm super excited for them. I feel like I'm back in a fantasy mood, and we'll see how long it lasts, but I think it's mostly because I'm very excited to get to The Poppy War and I want to read that whole series. But I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments what books you guys are excited to read in July, if there's any like top books that you just really want to get to this month. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!